OEM integration is the name of the game, and the brand today is into preamps as well as screen replacement solutions. Joining us today is their CEO, Rich DeSclafani. We're going to dive right in to why Rdvfl has been leading the charge for OEM integration. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM, and it starts now. All right, we're here with Rich DeSclafani of Rdvfl. How's it going, Rich?
Doing awesome, Ben. Thank you, bro.
Now, I know this category for you has grown by leaps and bounds in the last, 5 years, let's say. I remember when we first conversed, you were only doing basic CarPlay Android Auto solutions. Now, of course, that remains a big part of your business today. But the expansion to do so many other opportunities really has made Rdvfl a go-to source for OEM integration solutions, hasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, we've launched so many new products the last few years, from screen upgrades to really nice little wireless adapters that just do wireless, to new CarPlay interfaces, amplifier replacement, single DIN radios. I mean, we've really expanded into a lot of different categories.
So it's funny because if I look back 10 years ago, even this wasn't even a thing. And here we are in 2026, and it is most definitely a thing because let's be honest, a lot of the vehicles coming into the shops right now require a solution. It's not something that you're going to figure out on your own. You're going to need some sort of device to get that feature that you need to finish or to deliver to the customer what they're looking for. So two parts of the show. The first part, Rich, I thought we'd dive into a couple of the offerings or the type of products that you have within OEM integration. And then maybe the last half, we can talk a little bit about how that business has really changed and maybe share some of your wisdom on what you've seen in the market. Okay. So
absolutely.
Let's start with the basic stuff. I know it seems maybe in 2026, this is mundane, but this continues to be a big category that I really hope that dealers don't, overlook. And that is Android Auto CarPlay wireless. This is something that unbelievably good for us in the industry, because there's a lot of vehicles that, although might have come out with CarPlay connectivity, still have it wired. So the wireless aspect is a huge plus. What are you seeing right now in the marketplace for these type of solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's tons of vehicles out there that even if, the newest models are coming wirelessly, originally they didn't. There's tons of aftermarket radios out there that are still only offered as wired or wireless. So this is not limited to, factory systems either. Any aftermarket radio, you sold an aftermarket 4 or 5 years ago, you got an older, put name brand X in there and, it's wired. Now you want to make it wireless. Well, you don't need to upgrade your whole radio. You don't need to put a brand new double DIN in there. You could just buy a, $75 adapter, plug it in, and now you're wireless. Boots super fast. There's no extra fluff. Strictly wireless, works just like it does when you plug it in, which a lot of the devices out there don't. So it's a really great solution. And a lot of guys still don't even know that you can make the factory wired wireless with a little adapter. I still have guys calling expecting to have to put a whole module in there or a whole interface in there. And nah, man, we just got a little adapter, bro. It comes in a little box like this and plugs right into the USB. And I mean, it can't get any simpler. So we try to make it simple and affordable and easy and products that work, that fit the need for the consumers these days.
I'm happy you said that, because one thing I do want to mention here is the evolution of this category of product. I remember the first generation of these products. Man, I got to tell you, the load up time on some of these were very long. And I'm being general here. I'm not saying your product otherwise. Just in general, the Gen 1 version of these type of products, honestly, sometimes I was like, let's just unplug this because this is taking too long. Now, as time went on, revisions, software updates, new hardware, I could tell you right now in 2026, like yours, for example, I've tried myself. It's a no-brainer. You just leave it plugged in, you get in the car, 30 seconds maybe. I haven't timed it. It doesn't. It didn't distract me is what I'm saying.
By the time your radio boots up.
Exactly. By the time I'm on the road and I'm about to make my first turn, like I'm already connected, my CarPlay is on, my Bluetooth's connected, like it's all there. And that's the whole point. It's supposed to be seamless, right? That's the whole idea.
Yeah, it's convenience. This is supposed to be convenient. It's not supposed to be a headache. It's supposed to make your life easier, not not, more stressful, or you're not supposed to get frustrated with the stuff. I mean, look, technology is technology. There's always going to be flaws with the phone, with the car, with the device
There's
you're
so many
using.
variables, right? The type of
Yes.
vehicle, the radio manufacturer, the type of phone. I mean, there's so many variables.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you just look at your phone without anything else, and how many times, yesterday my phone died. I put it to charge. It was on 1%, turned it back on. All of a sudden it said 88%. Said, what the hell? I unplugged it. It turned off immediately. Plugged it back in, waited for it to boot up again, turned it back on, and went back to charging like normal. But I mean, it said 88% in 30 seconds. And I'm like, what's going on here? So, it happens to anything and everything these days. Nothing is, free from exactly. Technology glitches and issues.
All right. So, again, didn't want to spend too much time on this. By now, if you're listening, you probably are aware. Simple solution. Rdvfl has a great one. Small little box, easy solution. Plug it in, away you go. Wireless, CarPlay, Android Auto. Let's move on to something a little bit more advanced that I'm a little bit more excited about. And there it is. That's what it looks like.
Yep.
Listen, super simple. Okay. Next category. We've talked about it a lot, but I'm going to continue pushing it because I really believe you're onto something here, Rich. And that has to do with factory screen upgrades. So let me set the stage for y'all. We're talking OEM integration. You have customers that have vehicles that come in, and they want to change their radio for several reasons. Maybe they want Apple CarPlay. Maybe they think that's the only way they can get it. Maybe they're not happy with their factory screen size because, it's a little bit older vehicle. They still love the car. It's in great shape, but it's like this big, the screen. And it's not even touchscreen in some situations. And if it was touchscreen, maybe it's broken. Maybe they need to replace it. And they went to the dealer and it's like, oh, it's $3,000. And they're like, what? Maybe it's a new vehicle, new to me type of vehicle. You've just bought a used vehicle. It's like I'm just using an example, like a 2017 Audi, for example, or something like that. And you want, to get with the times with technology. Well, guess what? You no longer have to change the entire radio. What the heck am I talking about? Rich, explain.
Yeah. So basically we give you all of the features and benefits of changing the radio without all of the complicated integration of changing the radio. And it gives you the ability to use the factory radio through the new screen. So you get all of the additional features that the screen offers on top of retaining all of the factory features that were there. So you don't lose anything, and all you do is gain screen size, functionality, resolution, features, aesthetics. So you have, plus, check. And, there's no drawbacks to it because all you're doing is benefiting in every way by upgrading the screen and not actually removing any of the factory features. So from that aspect, I mean, you can't ask for a better product to offer your customer than to go, hey man, look, you get all of these awesome, great features. You're completely changes your whole car. And you don't lose anything. All of your factory stuff stays. The audio quality, all of the factory cameras, 360, anything else,
Sirius
safety
XM,
features.
safety features.
Absolutely, all retained. Okay. So, it's a no-brainer a lot of times in a lot of these cases.
I've had a lot of questions about this, and hearing you say it seems to make sense, but I can understand if you're hearing this for the first time, maybe you don't get it. Do you have a version of a screen that you could show real quick so people can understand?
Yes.
Because the other element to this is the facilitation of the installation. It's all predetermined harnessing, and it's T-styled in with connectors. So go ahead and explain that.
Exactly. So all of these are going to be vehicle specific. There's not a universal one that just comes off the shelf that you need to adapt or fit into the equation. In the vehicle, everything there is already for you, specific for the vehicle, whether it's the plug and play harness, or it's the mounting bracket or the trim that goes around to make it look factory and aesthetically make it match the vehicle. So you get everything 100% all together, ready to go in a complete kit. You don't need any additional parts. Comes with everything you need. It all plug and play. It just T-harnesses in. Comes with an instruction manual, obviously, that tells you step-by-step how to do it. And of course, if there's any questions or issues that arise while you're doing it, you could always call tech support and we could help walk you through it. But yeah, it's a lot more straightforward than a lot of people think in most applications. Of course, you always have those anomalies where some of those vehicles are a little more difficult than others, but the majority overall, overwhelmingly, the installation is not much different than putting in a CarPlay interface. Because to put a CarPlay interface, you have to T-harness into the radio, you have to T-harness into the screen, you have to remove the screen anyway for the most part to begin with. So essentially, when you remove the screen, you're just putting back a different screen in its place.
Right.
So you get the upgrade there. So install is real straightforward, thank God. 3-year warranty on them, and they function
Okay.
amazing. I mean,
Okay.
it's just a
Okay.
great upgrade.
Take a second and run me through a couple of the popular applications that are available currently as far as these screen upgrades are concerned.
So Lexus is our newest launch. Obviously the Lexus RX is a huge category. We cover from 2009 until 2021 with the Lexus RX. Currently, we don't even have CarPlay interfaces prior to 2016. So this is a new opportunity for us to be able to sell to vehicles that we didn't cover before, even with the CarPlay interfaces. Our Ford and our GM screen upgrades are huge. We have Sync 3, Sync 4 upgrades. We have GM upgrades for the pickups, the Silverado, Sierra, and the full-size trucks from 13 to 2026 in some cases on the Sierra and the Silverado. So we have a pretty wide range of screen upgrades, and Audi, BMW, Mercedes as well. So we have European, we have American, we have imports, Infinity. I mean, we cover a ton of different vehicles with the screen upgrades, and we're just trying to create as many opportunities that we can for retailers to be able to offer product to their customers, offer solutions, different solutions, more affordable, more features. So depending on what the customer is looking to do and looking for, we're trying to cater to, to all the different needs out there.
So if I'm a dealer and I'm like, oh, I didn't know you made this, and I get to the website, where do I go and what do I need to do to find out applications?
Yeah, so the easiest thing to do is just put the year, make, and model into the website, and then whatever is available for that year, make, and model vehicle will come up. You could also, call and speak to my sales guy, Greg. Awesome guy, does a great job. More than happy to help anytime. Full of knowledge. So really, really good avenue there for information. If you have any questions that you just don't get from the website, you can call. We have people to speak to, whether it's tech support, sales support. We're here to help, and we're here to explain and guide and help you make that sale to the customer and explain to them what to expect, how it's going to work, how it's going to integrate into their vehicle, so there's no surprises and everybody's on the same page as far as what they're getting, how it works, how it's going to install, and what they can expect when it's all done.
All right, amazing. So we talked about some CarPlay solutions, and of course, this big category here in screen upgrades. The other one, again, in this OEM integration theme is getting a sound signal for vehicles with amplification from factory. So what we're talking about here is amplifier interfaces or preamps or however you want to call them. Another good category, a great category that you introduced some while back. So I know you have one there. So walk us through what this device does.
Yeah, so we have a few different models of preamp essentially, or amplifier replacement, depending on the application. So like this one is for a new BMW 2019 and up with the Ethernet based audio packages. So like the Bowers and Wilkins and the Harman Kardon, they are Ethernet based. So there's no real way to get signal out of the factory radio. And this basically just T-harnesses in to the factory system. It actually retains all of the factory amplifiers and RAM modules. What?
You don't need to remove the amplifier.
Not in that application, no. In some of the older vehicles like the BMW Most, Mercedes Most, you actually physically remove the amplifier. You just unplug the fiber optics from the amp, plug it into mine. That one on the BMW, the Ethernet-based systems, that's just plug and play into the factory existing harnessing, and all of the factory equipment stays intact. And the reason that you have to do that with those applications is there's so much more running through those amplifiers and the audio processing part of the vehicle, that it's not just audio. There's all kinds of other data and information running through there, telematics for the crash detection and lane departure, and all of those safety features also run through.
So this is not intrusive. It doesn't change that at all. All you're
correct.
doing is this gets the signal that you need in the full range to be able to output downstream to a DSP, for example.
Correct. Yeah, you have to go into a DSP. We only have Toslink out. So
I like how you only have Toslink out. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, only Toslink. There's no RCA outputs, because I mean, if you're using this, then what's the point of using this if you're going to go to RCA? You're going to go digital to to analog anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
we only have Toslink out. So, you're going to go Toslink to your DSP. And yeah, all we're doing is extracting the audio signal. So everything else stays intact. All of the other factory communication stays. We're just extracting the audio signal and giving you 100% clean, unprocessed digital full range audio to your DSP for you to tweak, as you
Absolutely.
want from there, rather than having to un-DSP and unprocess and untime
Right.
line and on all this stuff. And you know, as well as I do, you're never going to get a flat signal. It's
Right.
impossible. You never get a flat signal going high level after the amp. So, somebody that's going to spend that kind of money and do that type of a system in those types of vehicles, you want the best sound quality possible. So this is really the only way to achieve it.
What are the types of popular applications you can mention that you have a solution for in this category?
Definitely the newer BMWs for sure. Newer Range Rover, Land Rover, Jaguar as well with the Ethernet based system. Of course, the Mercedes is always popular. BMW is always popular. The older BMWs with the most. The Mercedes with the most. I cover Mercedes with coax and the most 150 and most 25 as well. So those are really the big applications for sure. Is BMW, Land Rover, Range Rover, Jaguar, and Mercedes. That's really where a lot of guys are doing either upgrades on the older BMWs. Man, those amplifiers fail like crazy. So you have water damage, the trunks leak, they always get damaged. You always have to replace the
And the
amplifiers.
cost of replacement at the dealer is
One, and you can't get them. They
you
don't make
can't
them
get them.
anymore.
Oh, of
You
course.
can't even get them. So
Right.
at least I have a solution. You can go, fiber optic, most 25 into my piece, and then out of my piece into, they have super small footprint DSP amplifiers
Of
now
course.
that you could get, they're inexpensive. They're all built into one. And, it's simple. You just go Toslink into your amp into the speakers, and that's it. And you have, the ability to tweak it and tune it as well, far above and beyond what was in there to begin with.
Right.
And at a similar price point with all the, with all the parts and everything. And, you're getting a huge upgrade too, not just replacing what was there that's, eventually going to fail again at some point.
All right. So we'll call it there. We went through the whole gambit of different products. When we come back after the break, we're going to talk a little bit more business. We'll give some insight as to how you as a shop can take advantage of some of Rich's products and, more importantly, improve your OEM integration business. We'll be right back after the break.
Hey, Paul with SiriusXM here. And with 3 easy steps, you can maximize your business. Number 1, make sure you have the current promotional material up. Understand the offer? Make sure your team knows it. 2, have a unit on display. Set the presets to different genres so you can recommend and play the music that your customer listens to. And number 3, think about this. Most vehicles you're replacing the head unit with already has a SiriusXM tuner in it. So adding it just requires an antenna adapter, a SiriusXM tuner. It's a 30-second install and you're done. So there it is, guys. 3 easy steps to maximize every sale this season with SiriusXM.
All right, welcome back to the show. Of course, we're here with Rich Disclafani, President and CEO of Rdvfl. We're talking OEM integration. The first half of the show covered all the great products that Rich has. I wanted to take this opportunity, Rich, to kind of talk about the business, because why this is important is I'm specifically speaking to the traditional car audio shop, right? These are guys that have been in business for a while. They cut their teeth on putting in 5-channel amplifiers, a subwoofer, changing speakers, changing radios. Truth be told, business has changed. The market's changed. The vehicles, more importantly, have changed. And also, many shops struggle to go outside of their bubble. Like, they're relying on the person who already had a system, wants to upgrade their system as far as sound. But the convenience side of thing is a whole other thing, because that is not just exclusive to people who want sound systems. These are people that want safety features, convenience features, all that. So let's start about talking about CarPlay and Android Auto first, right?
Yep.
What do you recommend? Like, if you're a shop and you're not selling 5 of these a week, what are you doing wrong?
Not offering it. You're not educating the customer. That's the number one thing that I hear and see is, man, nobody comes in and asks for that. Well, of course, nobody comes in and asks for it. They don't know it exists, and that's your job as a retailer, as a salesman, as the person, the first point of contact when the customer walks in is to gauge the customer, see what the customer's needs are, see what they have, see what they want. Hey, did you know that we could add CarPlay to your vehicle if you don't have it, whether by changing the radio, or we have a whole bunch of, OEM integration options to add it to your factory system without even changing your radio. So you don't even have to worry about changing the aesthetics of your dash or using it any differently. So there's a whole, wide range of things that need to be done to educate people that, these things are available and we could do these things to your car, like the wireless adapters. I tell everybody all the time, hey, every single customer that walks into your shop, hey, how you doing? Good. Hey, do you have CarPlay in your car? Yeah. Do you have to plug in to use it? Yeah. Would you like to make that wireless? Man, that would be great. Well, here you go. Whether they get
that's literally a do you want fries with that?
Exactly. Situation. Whether they just walk in asking questions, they're getting tint, they're getting speakers, they're getting a dash cam, whatever, anything. It doesn't matter. Every single person that walks through the store, that should be a question that you ask. And if the answer is no, I don't have CarPlay. Oh, what kind of car do you have? Oh, I have a 2015 BMW 3 Series. Oh man, we have a product that we could add it right to your factory screen. Or we can upgrade your factory screen with a bigger screen, make it touchscreen, and we can do all this stuff right to your factory system. Really? People are amazed and blown away, and they don't even realize that you could do all this stuff.
I have to say something. Not only that, I completely agree with everything you just said there. And just that one maneuver will increase sales for any store.
Absolutely.
Period. Here's the deal. If you as a store are not bringing that up in your conversation with the dialogue of a customer who's made the time to walk into your brick and mortar location, you are going to lose that sale to some online whatever. They're going to buy it somewhere else.
Yep.
So you might be thinking, Ben, Rich, I'm only making $20 on that thing. Is it worth my time? Well, hold on a second. Sure, you're going to make some money, a little bit of money on that unit, but it keeps your customer's car at your shop. It shows and demonstrates that you are the specialist. You know what's going on.
Right.
I mean, that's the whole deal right there.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, look, coming from, the retail world, I have a really good understanding of how it works. So you have a customer, that walks in and, it's like, hey, how you doing? Good. Okay. Let me know if you need anything.
Wrong.
Right.
Wrong.
Where are you
Wrong.
going? You're going nowhere, so you need to intercept that customer and grab their attention.
You got to engage. Yes.
Right. And grab their desires, see what they want, see what they're looking for. People are in there looking for something, even if they don't want to tell you.
They wouldn't have walked in otherwise.
Right. So even if they don't want to tell you what they're looking for, in their mind, they're looking around to see what you have, to see what's available, to see if you have what they want, maybe not, or you don't. But that is the first thing that you need to do, is engage the customer and make them aware that, hey, this stuff is available. Before it was Bluetooth and iPod and satellite radio. Then it turned into backup camera interfaces, and now it's progressed into CarPlay interfaces.
For a while, it was dash cams as well. I remember it was a big dash cam thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but dash cams are more universal. Whereas this stuff is more adding to the factory system, before, like I said,
and vehicle specific in many cases. Satellite
radio, iPod adapters, Bluetooth, before Bluetooth even came in cars. Back in the day, the Porsche PCM2s, we were adding Bluetooth and iPod, satellite radio to those, because they didn't come with it.
Bro, I'm gonna drop in science. FM modulators.
Oh God. Hardwired, wireless. I mean,
imagine. CD shuttles. Come on.
I mean, we were hijacking the audio going to the CD changers or CD players, really the CD changers back in the day in Audis, to introduce XM Commander audio into the system with a toggle switch and some relays. Yeah, so I mean, we've been doing this stuff, or I've been doing this stuff, and the category has been doing this stuff in one way, shape, or fashion. And I mean, this is back in the 90s. Yeah. So, early 2000s, and maybe 90s a little far away, but early 2000s, I mean, that's what we were doing, Yep. TVs and headrests,
and that's what I mean. Some of these shops have been doing it for a while. I'm not here saying that they're not doing what they do well, but there's some adaptation that is required if you want
you have to evolve.
Keep that business going. You know what I mean?
Yep.
On that note, let's switch over now to screen replacements. Like you already talked about it. You got to have the conversation with the customer, find out what vehicle they have. Hey, did you know? I have an interesting question, though. There are, like, let's look at the behavior of a person who just bought a car these days, even if it's a new to them car. Likelihood is they're going to be on Facebook or something. They're going to join a group with that vehicle platform so they can find out all the cool mods, the lights they can change, the wheel fitments, all this kind of thing.
Yep.
And
Who's
a
doing
lot
what?
of the, yep, and there's always going to be these know-it-all gurus on each forum, and they're going to show you all these different products. And a lot of the times, I feel our dealers are having sales taken away from them because they're getting the wrong information, and they're going to these online, stores and buying inferior product, which, quite honestly, most of the times is not even really created to work properly in a vehicle environment. So, what advice or what comments do you have about that?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to education and educating the customers. Customers walk in somewhere, you're the expert, you're the specialist in this category, and when customers ask questions and you don't have answers, or you don't know, or, you're not engaged, or you don't really seem like you're interested, well, then there goes your customer. I mean, that's literally what they're going to do is they're going to go to the internet and they're going to look it up, and they don't have to deal with somebody, and whether they're friendly or not or whatever. And
A human.
they'll
They
get the
don't need
information
to
that
deal
they
with a
want.
human. Right. Exactly.
Right. And I mean, that's really what it comes down to is the trust factor. A lot of, and this is not a new problem in this industry, but with the, emergence of social media and everything else the last decade, it's really changed the way that we do business. And no longer can you, BS a customer. You can't fluff them up with a bunch of stuff that, half truths, or
you can't fling BS anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't make it seem like, what you're talking about something when you really don't. And then they go home and Google it, or they go out to their car and they Google it, and they're like, wait a minute, this guy just told me the completely wrong thing. Like, I'm not going back to this place. Like, these guys don't know what they're talking about. Right. And then they have that experience, or a couple different shops or something, maybe over the course of a few years. And they're like, wait a minute, it's like back to the mechanics. A lot of people just don't trust mechanics because, your blinker fluid, you need muffler bearings. I mean, you got stuff like that. I mean, consumers don't know,
but they do now. But that point is,
right.
It's
right.
one Google search away, literally.
Exactly.
And validation.
We live and die by reviews. Also, the consumer wields all of the power. So we live and die by reviews. All of these shops, that I hear it all the time. Oh man, I can't afford a bad review. I can't get a bad review. So, I got to bend over, and I got to do anything I can for the customer. Otherwise they're going to give me a bad review. So you have this industry that's, fighting against itself because you're scared to try to make it right, or you're scared to try to stand your ground with a customer in certain situations. And it's the customer just wants me to take it out, and I'll just take it out because it's, the phone is not connecting, or, silly things like that, where, it's just technology challenges, and it's like, man, people don't even know how to talk to their customers anymore.
I think this all comes down, we'll end it here, Rich. I think this all comes down to product awareness and education and knowledge about the product. You said it so many times. You are the expert, but in order to wear that expert badge,
you need to educate yourself.
There's some work to be done.
You need to educate yourself.
You need to educate yourself. You need to use the product, try the product, so you're speaking from firsthand experience, right?
Right.
You need to understand the specifications, the applications, and so on and so forth. And whether that's through webinars or going to events and getting the training. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased. We put on an event every year in Canada, which is specifically for this purpose. But as a dealer, you got to get out there. Don't think that because you've been in business for 20 years that you know what's going on right now.
Yep.
You don't. And I have no problem saying that.
Yeah.
Right.
No, and that's exactly it, man. I've been in this industry since 97. Mm-hmm. So next year is going to be 30 years in the industry for me. And everything I learned the first 10, 20 years that I was in this industry are useless for what I'm doing now, because the technology was completely different. So the fact that I've been in the industry for 30 years doesn't really do me any benefits as far as today's technology. I understand the industry. I understand a lot of the generalizations of the category, but the specific technology from today, you have to learn. It didn't exist.
I went away for 8 years. When I came back,
completely different.
I was lost.
Yep.
Summing, DSP, OEM integration. Both systems, Ethernet. What?
Yep.
That happened in a span of 8 years.
Yeah. There's a lot of there's a good part of the industry that I am so out of touch with. because it's changed and evolved so much. Stuff that I was an expert in, back in the day. Now I'm lost, dude. I couldn't, I wouldn't even know where to start,
All right.
So
on that note, education, awareness, product knowledge, experience, try out the product, use it yourself, reach out to whoever. This time we're talking to Rich. Every brand you see here on CMA Networks, trust me, if you have an issue, you call them and they will help you out. That is the 100%. Point. All right. If you want to find out more information on Rdvfl products, I do encourage you, hit up Rich's website, rdvfl.com. You want to find out what fits, go into the make model. Everything will spit up exactly as to what products will fit for the vehicle that you're looking for. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button. Better yet, hit the notification bell. That way you know every time we come on live. Rich, thank you so much for another great conversation. That's it for the CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Gu. Until next time, connect.